We are about to begin.
Thank
And
you.
unmute as soon as I call your name. I'll call you and I'll invite you and will unmute your mic, sir. Meanwhile, it's on mute so that to avoid any distortion in the voices. I hope you don't mind, sir.
No, I don't mind.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all our honorable speakers and esteemed guests and distinguished participants. I hope I'm audible to all of you. I'm Laureate Nasser, a lecturer in Department of Humanities, a counselor, and a proud alumna at Greenwich University. It is my utmost pleasure to host International Symposium on the importance of internationalization and sustainability in quality assurance. I warmly welcome you all to today's symposium. Before we begin, I kindly request everyone to switch their mobile phones to silent mode and keep your microphones muted throughout the presentation. Please take notes during the sessions and we will be conducting a question and answer session at the end of the program. Thank you for your cooperation. Let's have an insightful and engaging symposium. You all are requested to please mute your microphones throughout the session to avoid any distortion in the voices of our speakers. To begin our program, we will have a recitation from the Holy Quran.
الله الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم.
Thank you so much for the beautiful recitation. Greenwich University has always been at the front foot of educational excellence and innovation. It is through its collective efforts that it continues to make significant strides in various fields. Next, we will showcase a documentary about Greenwich University, highlighting its journey and achievements. Let's have a look.
The beautiful color of Pakistan's flag reflects its diverse culture and bustling cities. Karachi is the heartbeat of Pakistan's economy. Greenwich University is situated on the beautiful shore of Karachi in the most serene and scholastic area. Each brick narrates a story of passion, perseverance, and academic brilliance, crafting a masterpiece of success. Greenwich swiftly ascended to autonomy as a degree-awarding institution in 1998 under the Act of the Government of Sindh, recognized by the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan. Today, it proudly claims its seat among the top 5 business universities in Pakistan, radiating its influence globally as a distinguished bastion of academic prowess. Greenwich University ranked as first in Pakistan and 61st globally by the Times Impact Ranking 2023 for the Sustainable Development Goal 8. Enjoying membership status with prestigious international accrediting agencies. International partnerships form the global bridge of Greenwich, connecting cultures, shaping futures, and ensuring a truly international educational experience. Global transferable credits, connecting Greenwich students worldwide. Most significant is the European Commission's Erasmus Plus program enabling Greenwich students to study abroad for a semester, alongside joint research and faculty exchange components. Greenwich University is dedicated to shaping thought leaders for a humane and prosperous future. Experiential learning, where education transcends boundaries. Nurtured in classrooms, sown in lectures, and flourished in the legacy of knowledge. Financial support for needy and meritorious students empowering dreams. Enter the core of academic brilliance where the Faculty of Management Sciences and Information Studies thrives. Set free to discover your potential in the Business Administration and Economics and Finance departments, crafting global leaders. Immerse yourself in the Faculty of Social Sciences and Humanities, Media Art and Design, and Education departments, hubs of innovation and creativity. In this vibrant academic ecosystem, we inspire, innovate, and propel our students towards a future of limitless possibilities. The School of Fashion, within the Department of Media Art and Design. The School of Languages, within the Department of Education. The School of Banking and Finance, within the Department of Economics and Finance. The School of Protocol and Diplomacy, within the Department of Humanities. Greenwich Research and Development Center, pioneering exploration drives innovation for a future of limitless possibilities. Office of Research, Innovation and Commercialization, empowering excellence in research and innovation for positive societal impact. Greenwich University Research Journal serves as a scholarly platform, showcasing the latest advancements and diverse perspectives across disciplines. At Greenwich University, the Karachi Research Chair, specializing in sustainable development, spearheads transformative initiatives by generating evidence base for policy advocacy to enact governance reforms. Greenwich Executive Development Center is a hub for professional growth, offering tailored programs and resources. Greenwich University strives to create a harmonious and empowered community where diversity is celebrated, equity is upheld, and inclusivity is the foundation of all endeavors. The Co-opt program facilitates collaboration, connecting industry experts with aspiring leaders. The Corporate Service and Placement Office streamlines internship and employment opportunities for Greenwich University students through collaboration with the industry and university alumni network to connect the students with a diversified result-oriented talent pipeline. Student Development Council at Greenwich University is a student representative body formed yearly and presents an excellent opportunity for students to develop and demonstrate their leadership skills. The outreach program extends the university's impact through community engagement and knowledge-sharing initiatives. Aspiring to be a sustainable, socially responsible, and pioneering institution on a local, national, and global scale, Greenwich University has worked closely with Pink Ribbon, Sind Institute of Urology and Transplantation, and other public interest organizations. Greenwich University Athletics in action. From dominating the Students' Asian Olympics to conquering prestigious championships, Greenwich University's outstanding sports performance exemplifies its holistic approach to education on both national and international fronts. Greenwich University's students showcase unparalleled achievements across fields, embodying the university's vision of nurturing leaders and cultivating honed leadership skills, making them proud guardians of Pakistan's future. Join the league of over 5,000 influential alumni. Over 3 decades of academic excellence, our journey from pioneer to premier has nurtured artists, business leaders, entrepreneurs, musicians, public servants, and politicians contributing to several aspects of human endeavor all over the world. Greenwich University's legacy shines as it confers honoris causa upon humanitarian icons, global leaders, and impactful personalities. These honorees establish a remarkable standard, imprinting their influence on society and inspiring future generations. Greenwich University's convocation witnesses the emergence of conscious leaders for tomorrow. It marks not the end of success, but the commencement of a beautiful journey towards impactful leadership. Greenwich is not a university. It's a lifestyle.
What a wonderful visual. I hope you enjoyed the documentary. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Rab Nawaz, Director of Quality Assurance at Greenwich University, to deliver the welcome address. Dr. Nawaz has been instrumental in enhancing our quality assurance processes and has successfully led numerous accreditation and evaluation initiatives. His dedication to maintaining high standards has been a cornerstone of our continuous improvement and international recognition efforts. Please welcome Dr. Rab Nawaz.
Honorable speakers, respected QEC professionals, faculty members, QEC team of Greenwich University, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. It is a great pleasure and honor that I welcome you all to this international symposium on the importance of internationalization and sustainability in the quality assurance. On behalf of Greenwich University, I extend a warm welcome to all the heads and the professionals of quality assurance joining us from across Pakistan and around the world. This symposium brings together esteemed international speakers from Australia, Mauritius, Pakistan, and Australia, as well as dedicated professionals and experts from various institutions to explore and discuss the critical role of internationalization and sustainability in quality assurance within the education sector. The objectives of this symposium are fostering global perspective to enhance our understanding of quality assurance through global perspective and best practices shared by our distinguished speakers from Australia, Mauritius, and Pakistan. The second objective is promoting collaboration, addressing challenges to identify and discuss the challenges and opportunities in integrating internationalization and sustainability into our quality assurance framework. Innovating quality assurance to explore innovative approaches and emerging trends that can enhance the effectiveness and resilience of our quality assurance system. Sustainability focus to emphasize the importance of sustainable practices in maintaining long-term quality and effectiveness in education, ensuring that our institutions remain adaptive and forward-thinking. I'm confident that the insights and discussions we will engage in today will significantly contribute to our shared goal of advancing quality assurance in the education. The diverse experiences and expertise of our international speakers and participants will undoubtedly enrich our understanding and inspire new strategies for achieving excellence in our institution. Once again, I warmly welcome you all to this symposium. Let us make the most of this opportunity to learn, share, collaborate, driving forward to the standards of quality assurance in education for a sustainable and globally connected future. Thank you all once again, and I look forward to a productive and enlightening session. Thank you once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, team guests, and distinguished participants, it is my great pleasure to announce that our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Mark Serge, will be joining us online from Australia. Due to time difference, he'll be addressing his keynote address earlier. Professor Dr. Mark Serge, a distinguished academician whose journey spans continents and affluence. With a career spanning from 1970 to 2008, Professor Serge lectured on French language, and Francophone literature across prestigious institutions, culminating in being honored as Professor Emeritus of Limerick University, Ireland. Please welcome Professor Dr. Mark Sturge.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
May I first greet Dr. Rab Nawaz, my friend who was in Mauritius a few years ago. I would like also to greet all respected QEC professionals who are listening, QEC faculty, and all the faculty of Greenwich University, Karachi, Pakistan. All protocol observed. I feel very honored indeed to have been asked by Greenwich University, Pakistan, to participate in this very impressive international symposium. Since my 3-year professorship at Greenwich University, Mauritius, I have been waiting impatiently for such an opportunity to renew my affiliation with the university. And this symposium could not have come soon enough. I express my deepest appreciation to the university for organizing this gathering of bright minds. And I look forward to hearing my ideas, to sharing my ideas with colleagues who are specialists in the field of quality assurance. May I say right from the start that I am not an expert in the field of quality assurance. Rather, I'm speaking from my academic experience, now 52 years old, at universities in Scotland, in Australia, in Ireland, and Mauritius, and now again from Australia, where I reside for the next 6 months. So what I can bring to the discussion is from a concrete day-to-day practice of quality assurance and sustainability, which I hope will enlighten you a little. Since I've been given a limited time, I should like to speak first as a citizen of the world and one who has worked on 5 continents, including a visit in 2017, a visit in 2017 when I was visiting professor at Greenwich University, Pakistan in Karachi. I'm glad to hear and see from the documentary that staff, students, infrastructures, and achievements of Greenwich University are at the very high level that they are. And that you should be first in terms of SDGs in Pakistan has warmed my heart a great deal, because it shows that you are amongst the most prestigious universities in the world. Now, the question we are asking is really, why do we need transnational education? Indeed, Greenwich has made a lot of connections with a number of countries and universities, as I've just seen, and internationalization depends so much on funding, on human resources, on planning very far ahead. You at Greenwich have traveled a long way towards transnational education by looking at your joint research and collaborative projects, I feel very proud, very, very proud to be associated with this symposium and with the university. Now, those kind of joint ventures and projects are invaluable if our students, your students, are going to tap into the new knowledge out there and acquire a wealth of culture. But at the same time, we must not forget to track the mobility of our students. If it is true that traveling broadens the mind, we must bring them home as far as possible. The number of transnational students has increased dramatically in the last few decades. UK and the EU, especially through the Erasmus program, in which I am glad to say that Greenwich University is taking part, UK, EU are a model for other countries to follow. Indeed, China has done a lot in the recent past. But for this mobility to succeed, we need to establish new operational funding infrastructures. Moreover, we must think of the needs of our country, the needs of our community, and of our local students. Let me take a small example from Mauritius. When I won a scholarship, which was called the English Scholarship, established by the British government, there were only 2 for humanities and 2 for science. In total, 4. And there were 2 for girls. Now, altogether, the government has decided to send more students abroad. There are 120 scholarships per year. And yet, very few of the scholarship winners return to their homeland because there are limited opportunities that await them in Mauritius. This is sadly known as the brain drain. My point is that planning for greater harmonization in the field of tertiary education among a number of countries where Karachi and Greenwich University have sent their students, that kind of planning, that kind of harmonization are often achieved at the expense of the homeland. Be careful that the diaspora, the Pakistani diaspora, returns to the homeland and lends support to the country, demonstrates that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. Yet we should do more. We should do more to send our students abroad and to recruit foreign students. I remember being a part of a team that signed an MOU with Murdoch University of Western Australia. I'm not sure it has benefited much from this, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. I see a lot of MOUs on the screen just now. These MOUs are the route to greater international prestige for the university and a stronger international image for your university, Greenwich University, Pakistan. But being a host university is also part of the deal. The University of Limerick, of which I was a professor from 1996 to 2008, when I retired, received over 200 students per semester from the United States. This program was called Study Abroad. And it meant that each student from the US universities, whatever they were, spent one semester in Europe. To do so, we at Greenwich must develop our trust in cross-border education. Sometimes it means adapting to a new system where credit is given in terms of the credit system in the other country. I recommend a study abroad, as you have done, for as many of your students as possible. It has happened at Greenwich already. I strongly recommend other universities in Pakistan to do the same. The number of students placed in other countries now is estimated to be nearly 8 million in 2023. Like the United Arab Emirates, with its 40 campuses, we must strive to expand across to the students of other countries. We must aim to attract them, not just for financial benefits. Australia receives over 200,000 visiting students from abroad per year, but for cultural enrichment. There's a process of cultural fertilization that takes place when there are students from abroad. Unfortunately, COVID has slowed this down a great deal. We at Greenwich may think of hiring recruiters and agents abroad, maybe on the basis of commission, as is practiced in the US, UK, Australia, and even Mauritius. Now, let me say that quality assurance is the key. It's not just a matter of numbers. Numbers are important, but the quality of the students we produce, the quality of the research we produce is measured in terms of quality assurance. We all know what quality assurance means. We know that there are two things, something called accreditation and audit. Both accreditation and assessment monitor the quality of teaching and learning, whilst audit focuses on internal procedures adopted by a higher education institution. Let me take accreditation first. It's an evaluation of whether an institution or program meets a threshold standard and qualifies for a certain status. The focus, therefore, of accreditation is fairly comprehensive, examining the mission, resources, procedures of a higher education institution or program. The output of an accreditation of a program is yes or no. Though there are graduations, you could be asked to revise a program. The second aspect is assessment. Assessment of an institution or a program is an evaluation which makes graded judgments about quality. In this respect, it goes beyond accreditation. Assessment asks how good your products are. The output of an assessment is quantitative. A grade that could be numeric, that could be literal or descriptive. But a quality audit, as many of you will have experienced, as I did experience at Greenwich University in Mauritius, an audit checks the extent to which the institution is achieving its own explicit or implicit objectives. For example, it defines the suitability of the planned quality procedures in relation to the objectives. It defines the conformity of the actual quality activities with the plans and the effectiveness of the activities in achieving the stated objectives. So it's asking, are your processes effective? I've lived through many academic audits carried out at institutional level. Unlike accreditation or assessment, audits do not make a comprehensive review of a higher education institution or program, nor do they directly evaluate the quality of teaching or learning. Rather, audit focuses on those processes implemented by the institution in order to guarantee or improve the quality of teaching and learning. So the purpose of quality assurance, you all know, quality assurance professionals can serve, the purpose is twofold: improvement and accountability. Now, I often feel in Mauritius or in Australia or in UK that the balance is uneasy between the two purposes. And frequently that raises a problem. Is improvement and is accountability compatible? Are they compatible? Well, if we take accountability, for example, it's not always linked with the quality of teaching. Often it is there imposed by authorities for public information to pass judgments about the fitness, the soundness of an establishment or an institution. It is therefore often, accountability is therefore about control by external authorities and institutions. The aim is strengthening insight into an establishment and control over the establishment, with the possibility of undertaking external corrective action if necessary. Where this approach predominates in UK, in Australia, in other countries, there are often reports that are made public to inform the general public of the performance of higher education institutions. This approach is well known to all of us who have worked in institutions or universities. But we must put up with it for the sake of the second purpose of quality assurance, which is improvement of the institution. This is a more formative approach. Now, improvement nowadays means all kinds of things to all kinds of people. But quality procedures for improvement aim at promoting future performance, not making judgments on past performance. So if you take a university, you are looking at what will happen in the future, how to improve the performance, and therefore the criteria used are intended to strengthen the conditions in which students learn, the motivation of staff and students, the scope of the programs and degrees, the level of information we need towards quality improvement. Quality insurance for improvement implies, therefore, not control, but quality increasing. Where you find that this approach, the formative approach, the improvement approach, exists, the reports are written not for a general public. The reports are written for the academic audience, the staff, the students, and the board or advisors. The methods used for quality review, we are all acquainted with at Greenwich and in other universities where I've worked. They may be self-reviews. At Greenwich, you may be asked to provide a self-review of your department, of your program, of your course. This generally provides a foundation for what is often known as a peer review. The peer review is when external academics or official external review teams visit the university. I've had first-hand experience of both methods, the self-reviews and the external reviews. They both have advantages and disadvantages. Let me explain a little. Self-reviews are vital in quality assurance. They provide you with a chance to think for yourself, about yourself, and about your program. And when the next team comes along to review the program, they can use the self-review, but the self-review is often marked by lack of objectivity or creativity or shyness, perhaps, in claiming that you've done well. In Europe, a self-review is included in 94% of all assessment. It's therefore often a vital factor, as is the case in Australia and Mauritius. Guidance, of course, guidelines, manuals are provided for self-reviews. But the most painful and sometimes embarrassing situation occur when site visits are made by official review teams. This is used widely in EU countries, the US, Asian countries, Australia, and Mauritius. Site visits often take up to 4 days in British universities, whereas the Danes concentrate in 1 day a visit by experts, carefully planned with all the relevant groups, whether they be deans, heads of departments, students, and other stakeholders. Site visits are used in the US accreditation procedures, where the self-review is used as a foundation to that site visit. So we should get used to all these reviews. In many cases, we ask questions about our pass rates, our examination procedures, and in some cases also, we look at the labor market statistics. That is, are our students finding employment? This is used in Australia as a key indicator of quality in higher education. The success of graduates in joining the labor market is also used in UK, in Nordic countries, and elsewhere. Data on employment are published in Australia and are included in the, and I quote, Institutional Quality Assurance and Improvement Plan. Higher education institutions submit those data to the Commonwealth Government. These data are collected on all graduates who take part in courses through the Graduate Careers Council of Australia's Graduate Destination Survey. This is something that I notice Greenwich has adopted, and it's good. So, what is the purpose of a quality exercise? If I could simplify my own understanding of it, it's improvement, accountability. 2 words. There's not an easy balance between these two. So, in the field of higher education, often as in Australia, the result is that there's a league of universities. And there is such a thing in Australia as the group of 8 universities. Incorporated in 1999, the group of 8 comprises the universities of Melbourne, the Australian National University in Canberra, University of Sydney, the University of Queensland in Brisbane, the University of Western Australia in Perth, the University of Adelaide, Monash University, and the University of New South Wales in Sydney. Those 8 universities are considered to be in, if you want, the Premier League of tertiary institutions. Next comes the second league of universities. Therefore, when you are signing an MOU, you may ask yourself, well, with which university should I sign an MOU? I simply raise the question. In Mauritius, there is such a thing as the Quality Assurance Authority. Now it's become the Higher Education Commission, HEC. It's a statutory body under the Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology. The HEC is vested with a national mandate to monitor the standards of higher education. I think it's very similar to what exists in Pakistan. Now, the HEC reviews every university and decides if the program or all the programs should be changed every so often. The second purpose of a review is improvement. Quality procedures for improvement aim at promoting the performance in the future, not in the past. My own experience in Scotland, Australia, Ireland, and Mauritius tells me that there are very uncomfortable times when this is done because deficiencies, weaknesses are pointed out. But it's not so much that as the effectiveness of implementing the quality assurance mechanisms. It's difficult to measure, and I'm sure the QEC team would agree, it's difficult to measure the achievement of what is meant by quality, particularly in terms of student transformation. How has the learning improved? Of course, there are normative forms, questionnaires you can use. But the most important thing, which is sustainable, is that you should have, it seems to me, always external examiners, external reviewers, external referees looking at examinations, teaching, learning. So very often we feel quality monitoring is about data, inputs, outputs, systems, rather than processes and learning outcomes. The predominance of accountability means that quality monitoring focuses on other aspects that may have very little to do with teaching and students' learning, such as the infrastructures, the buildings, the facilities, the technology. But thanks to the introduction of teaching quality assessment, more attention has been given to the teaching function within an institution, to talking about teaching, to discussing teaching, and by implication, to discussing learning. As for research, well, we all know that it's driven by the notion of public accountability. This has helped in procedures relating to recruitment, promotion, and also putting your university amongst the best in the world. It seems to me that the big problem in quality assurance is how you follow up a quality assurance review, linking the results of evaluation with what has been done to remedy what was wrong in the first place. The other problem is when you use a quality assurance review to link up with funding schemes by the government or by authorities. Higher education institutions are put in a league, as in Australia, receive more money because their research output is greater. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very sweeping presentation of internationalization and sustainability. This symposium is very timely. I congratulate the organizers. I'm very glad to see that SG4 is at the center of your thinking. We have paused, we have defined quality assurance, we have considered the challenges facing us in an increasingly competitive global village. Cross-cultural fertilization is vital for our local students. They must be open to international experiences. For our establishments, the regulations, disparities between systems in different countries make it very difficult to work within a new system. But persevere. You have done well. You must keep going to enrich the learning and research environment of staff and students. We have to keep up with incredibly rapid developments in the academic field and in the field of cross-border education. Measuring change and improvement is not easy, but Greenwich is doing well, should be proud of itself. It must continue to explore the meeting point of an international education, quality assurance, and sustainable learning and research. by discussing the emerging trends in quality assurance and internationalization, by seeing what is happening abroad, we can forge further forward. We can make Greenwich a model for other universities. May I, in conclusion, strongly urge all educational establishments in Pakistan to continue to look outwards, to look to the EU, to look to the Nordic countries. There's some good things happening there. Of course, the UK, the US, and especially Australia, to learn how much further you can go in terms of collaborative ventures, participation in overseas conferences on quality assurance, in the ongoing endeavor to build a global education network. If I can help, I shall be very happy to do so. In the meantime, look to those countries and do not forget a fast developing African tertiary education network, which probably is known to many of you, but is open to offers of MOUs and partnerships. I thank Dr. Nawaz. I thank the team for organizing this conference. Thank you for your attention. I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Dr. Mark Sears, for your profound work. Now, I would like to make an announcement. Since we all know there is a time difference between Australia and Pakistan, and Dr. Mark Sears will not be with us by the end of the session for a Q&A. So if any of you have any question, I would request you to please proceed with that, and Dr. Mark Sears is all there to answer all your queries and questions. Yes, please. I repeat, if any of you have any query or question related to the session, please unmute yourself and ask. And even if you can type in the chat, I'll read it out for you. Open the chat and read. Yes, Dr. Mark, there is a question from Dr. Fatima Agha, the head of Department of Humanities at Greenwich University. She is asking, what are the main challenges and barriers to achieving SDG 4 in developing countries?
Thank you very much for the question. I was looking at the figures for SDG 4, and it seems to me that the problem is in the sub-Saharan countries and the developing countries. The difficulty of having more than 60% of children attending schools, primary and secondary. It seems to me one of the main challenges is the increasing gap between digitalized countries and non-connected countries, that is, not digitalized countries. And the lack of technology, the lack of resources mean that we are very far away from offering primary schooling and secondary schooling to all the children. And therefore, there's no equitable access, that's the word, no equitable access to education in developing countries.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we have a question from Ms. Ume Hani, and she's asking, what are the quality assurance tools in the aspects of continuous improvement?
In the aspects of?
Continuous improvement. If you can provide us with some tools.
This is a very good question. I've been thinking about it since Dr. Nawaz asked me to. Now, what are the tools of quality assurance? I think the first thing I'd like to say is that you must trust in your own establishment, in your own institution. You must have confidence to open your institution to review and accept some recommendations that are made by a review team. The second facility, I think, that we may be called upon to use would be artificial intelligence. I think as artificial intelligence develops, you will have more and more access to the classroom, to facilities in the classroom, and therefore there will be improvement in terms of learning and in terms even of teaching and showing slides, which I haven't done today because it's too difficult to organize, to tell you the truth. And the third clear answer to this is that we must train. We must train our teachers. We must take care of our teachers, more workshops, more symposia, more discussion, and maybe prepare them more in the classroom, and maybe then teach in groups of 2, 3, and so on. So there are many, many things being tried out in the Nordic countries. I know.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for such detailed answer. Now we have one more question from Ms. Mehreen Mustafa, and she's asking, how can we improve research culture in HEIs?
Research clusters. I have been doing research for 52 years, I'm glad to say, and I continue to do research. We often think of research as an individual pastime, as something you do just as somebody who's training for a marathon, long distance runner on a long marathon to produce a book. I'm glad to say that I've written now 40 books, and many of these have been written with my colleagues or with my PhD students. I think research is an area where we need to be more adventurous and do collaborative research. It is so much more so much easier nowadays because we have Zoom, we have email, we have all kinds of technical help. We can work together from one continent to another, and therefore there is no obstacle to what we can achieve in research. The second thing I'd like to say is we must have a staff or researcher exchange system in place. For example, I spent a lot of my career on fellowships, scholarships to Oxford, to Canberra. In Australia, they have sabbatical fellowships. I think that many Pakistani universities would be the staff at many universities would be delighted to go to the US under one of the fellowship schemes, and therefore an exchange of researchers always motivates staff. Yes, research in teams, but also research across borders. That's what we need.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that's all for today. And I have a very small question, sir, if you would like to answer that. How's the weather in Australia?
I was afraid you were going to ask this. I'm sitting in a small office and it is absolutely freezing, very cold, very, very cold. I think it's only 8 degrees outside, and I'm sure it must be much warmer in Karachi. I'd love to come to Karachi and spend a bit of time and get my body warm.
Okay, it's a sincere suggestion, sir. If you want to visit, please do come in the winters. Summer favorable these
Winter.
days. Thank you so much, sir. It was really nice to have you. Despite the time difference, you take a time out. Thank you so much for being with us today. Take
Thank
care.
you for
Have a nice
organizing
day.
it. Thank you. Thank you for hosting it, and thank you to Dr. Nawaz for organizing it with his team. I say goodbye now because my son requires his computer, and also it's getting quite late here.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye.
We understand. Take care. Have a nice day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Moving
Bye.
on. Okay, now moving on, I would like to invite Dr. Abdul Wahid Usmani, Director, Quality Assurance and Sustainability at Jinnah Singh Medical University, an internationally acclaimed quality assurance professional with over 15 years of dedicated experience, with extensive contributions to advancing quality standards in education. Dr. Usmani will enlighten us on the role of leadership in higher education. Please welcome Dr. Abdul Wahid Usmani. Over to you, sir. Dr. Abdul Wahid Usmani. Sir, are you with us?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. How are you doing, sir?
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, please.
Sir, I just gave your very detailed introduction, so now everybody knows. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, quite well.
So we have Dr. Abdul Wahid Usmani with us, and he will enlighten us on the role of leadership in higher education. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Can you display my presentation, please?
Yeah, sure, sir. We are on it. Just give us a moment.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. First of all, my sincere apologies. There was a clash of two different sessions, and I was invited by Sakhar IBA for a teachers training program, and this morning I reached here for this session. And since this, I did not know this about this online seminar earlier, so there was a clash. However, we managed to find some slot to discuss some of the areas as identified in the topic, that is role of internationalization and sustainability in quality assurance. Next slide, please. I request all my QA family members to recall the session that we had earlier. And if you can recall, we had 8 areas for quality assurance model for faculty members. And these areas included updated curriculum, effective teaching and learning, focus assessment, targeted feedback, course report, internationalization, research, and community service. I'm glad that Greenwich University took area of internationalization and community service, which is the most neglected area in quality assurance. Usually, our QA fraternity is more focused towards self-assessment report, institutional performance evaluation, or postgraduate program review. In many cases, targeted feedback is also collected, but the area of internationalization and community service is usually not addressed. Next slide, please. I'll be taking the area of international first, and I'm sure that Mr. Ali Jilani must have discussed this in detail or will be discussing it shortly. But to our QA fraternity, I'd like to at least link this with our QA model. We need to understand one simple thing. We cannot exist in isolation now. The world is shrinking now. We need to connect with international institutions in order to be recognized and to get recognition from various institutions. And not only recognition, but also to have benchmarking with other institutions, such as some good practices being done in one part of the world should be replicated in our context as well. Let me give you a very quick example. In many universities, we are now following outcome-based education. But many of us do not know that this outcome-based education has been in practice in many international universities. Now, since it is in many international universities, if we have a model being practiced at, say, X university in Singapore, we'll be able to correlate our practices with that national institution. Similarly, if we want ourselves to survive in the modern world, our programs need to have their recognition. Branding is one of the cases that is our way of survival. So if we want to be connected with the international community and if we want to have the best practices in QA, we need to have uh, either international faculty, international students, or international what we call memorandum of understanding with different universities. But when you say MOUs with universities, I don't mean to say, please mark my words, I don't mean to say just signature of some kind of agreement. There should be some utility. As a QA practitioner, if you want your university to have international recognition, you need to remember that any link that you establish, any MOU that you sign, any agreement that takes place, if there is no utility within 6 months of the agreement, it is of no use. So I'm sure that Mr. Ali Jinani will, or the other speakers will be talking about nationalization in detail. Next slide, please. The next area of discussion that I'm sure will be taken up by one of the speakers is sustainability and quality assurance. Now, I will relate this with for all my QA fraternity, is that we need to think beyond ranking. At the moment, most of us who are working in sustainability is working for impact ranking. Please remember, sustainability does not mean coming into impact ranking. Some sustainability simply means that we need to go beyond ranking. And when I say beyond ranking, I simply mean to say we need to have efforts to contribute to society. Now, when I say efforts to contribute to society, I simply mean to say that all the curriculum that is designed and implemented in the higher education institution, that must be linked with some of the SDGs as given by United Nations. And when you identify your SDG, you relate your program with a specific strategy and you practice it for the community. Let me give you a very quick example. Greenwich University, one of the faculty member is teaching sociology. Now, I'm sure that many of you who are attending this session might not be aware that she is the only faculty who is introducing different projects, different project plans or ideas among the students to contribute to society. So some of them are sent to Dar es Sukoon to spend some time with those who are living there. Some of them are sent to orphanage to stay for a couple of days, work with them, rehabilitate them, and then come back with what they observed. And this is not limited to orphanage or Dar es Sukoon kind of places. The world is open to the student in sociology. This is the true meaning of linking curriculum with SDGs. Now, after linking your curriculum with SDG, if we go beyond SDGs, I would request the entire QA fraternity to go beyond SDG this time. No matter whether you are placed in the 800 list or you are placed at the 200 list of SDGs, if you go beyond SDGs, you need to have your sustainable practices. Now, when I say sustainable practices, some of you might not be comfortable with that, but many of you would agree that we are doing RIPE, we are doing graduate program review, we are doing self-assessment report, we are doing feedback forms, we are inviting guest speakers, we are participating in QA forums. But that is all done for the sake of inclusion in the QAA scoring system. That simply means that we ask programs to write an SAR, and this SAR is then replicated every year. We conduct IPE, but this IPE is conducted for the first time, and then rest of the year it is replicated without any changes, or in some cases there are some data updates. That is it. Similarly, there are feedback forms as required by QAA, but these feedback forms are collected, analyzed, not for the sake of improvement, but for the sake of reporting to QAA HEC. What I simply mean to say, sustainable practices. When I say sustainable practices, I simply mean to say that IPE should not be limited to completion of requirement. It should go beyond the requirement, which means improvement in the overall working of the university. And that is only possible when you analyze your IPE report, and then you plan and you execute, and then you identify what areas were addressed and what areas are still missing. And then you report to the next IPE cycle about those issues so that issues can be resolved. Similarly, graduate program review is done for the sake of getting the program ready for the next year induction. If we take it beyond the requirement, we'll certainly go for program improvement, curriculum revision, and advancement in the field. So if you look at all the practices given in the scorecard of QEC, we need to have sustainable practices beyond SDGs. So in conclusion, I would say we need to restart our QA journey. As I said, going back to my list of eight points, quality assurance model for faculty members. We need to not to be limited to updated curriculum, effective teaching, focus assessment, but we need to have internationalization as one of the focused area of the university. And for that, the programs are prepared to either benchmark or to adopt good practices, any one of them. Similarly, community service is not limited to the university, but the community service at the level of the program. And as I give you the example of one of the faculty, one of the course of Greenwich University, the same can be replicated. I have noticed universities preparing their curriculum as per SDGs, but the execution is limited to papers only. So I would request you to restart your journey with the QA journey with enhanced features, identifying the key operation of your HEIs. So when I say key operations, although I have listed 8 items to be included in a QA framework, but there are number of operations of the HEIs which are beyond this domain, which include, say, for instance, admission mechanism, which includes assessment and post-assessment analysis, which includes student services, etc. So identify the key operation of HEI, introduce the intervention, and sustain till the quality becomes a routine. That is all from my side. Please accept my apology because there was a break of half an hour for my training, and I requested Greenwich University to limit me for 20 minutes only. Since there are 10 minutes left, if there is any question, please feel free to raise the question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Usmani, for your enlightening presentation. Now we will open the floor for question and answers. Mr. Usmani, you are requested to please stay with us for a while as we are taking questions.
Sure. I'm waiting for the question. Either my discussion was too comprehensive to be understood by everybody, or it was so quick that people is taking time to respond to raise question. Anyway, I'm available for the next 10 minutes to raise any question or concern before I switch off for another session.
Sir, we have one question for you from Mr. Ali Raza, and he's asking, what is the relationship between quality and sustainability?
That is a very pertinent question. I'll go back to my Yeah, I'll go back to my first slide. That is the quality framework for faculty. If there is no sustainability, there is no quality. So the simplest relation is sustainability guarantees quality. And sustainability is not limited to SDGs only, sustainability in all operations of the university. No matter how good you introduce some intervention, if it is not sustainable, it's not going to work. I hope I responded to the question. If there is another question.
Yes, sir. Sir, we have one more question from Mr. Nabil Khan, and he's asking, being a new university, where to start QA journey? Please share no roadmap.
Okay, this is a big question. Okay, if it's a new university, please remember, do not introduce all the intervention of the HEC in the first shot. First, sit and make a strategic plan of your QA department. Your strategic plan should focus on your university's mission. If your university says quality education, research, and community service, you have got 3 areas. The first is quality of teaching. In order to improve the quality of teaching, you need to identify first the current practices of your university, and then a way forward plan, that is to introduce intervention for various programs of the university. If it's a new university, please start it from the very beginning. All the programs must prepare their program document. That program document must contain all the requirement of SAR, and not for the sake of SAR, but for the sake of university. This is first. Number two, mission of the university is quality research. That means you need to inculcate a culture of research. And if the third area of the university is serving the community, then you need to link all your programs with SDGs, number one. Number two, there should be some binding for some program. For instance, if you are offering humanities program, your humanities program must inculcate some of the elements of SDGs. And say, for example, good institutions, the entire university can uphold this SDG. Quality education can be upheld by many other departments, but social service can be done, say, for example, poverty elevation, zero hunger, or justice, equality. These can be done by specific programs in a specific way, through projects or through assignments. Remember, when you start a QA journey, you need to plan first. And that is what we call QA strategic plan. Any other question?
Yes, sir. Durjan asking how to make sustainability every employee's responsibility and how to make them understand.
Okay. Sustainability is a responsibility of all the employees. Okay. If this is the question, remember what we call a quality culture. You need to introduce the quality culture. And I'm not using a cliche that a quality culture is this. I simply mean to say, if you want to make everybody work with you in sustainability, everybody working for sustainability, this simply means that the intervention you are introducing should take all the stakeholders on board, number one. If all the stakeholders are on board, then role definition for each stakeholder. What happens in most cases that we introduce the intervention, QEC department will prepare curriculum and will suggest you to address these SDGs in your curriculum. This means no faculty member will own it, no program will sustain it. If you want to make it sustainable, involve the faculty members, make them realize that how they can contribute to SDGs, and then assign a role through department chair. And after this, whatever role is assigned, there should be some accountability after 6 months or a year to see whether some progress has been made or not. And finally, if you have made some progress, go to United Nations database of good practices of SDGs and enter your good practice. When you enter your good practice, you actually provide the entire world the opportunity to benchmark your practice with their practices. With this, I'll request that if there's any other question that can be sent at later stage, because I'm going to start my session with IBS Akka. Thank you, Greenwich University, for inviting me, Dr. Abnawaz and the entire team. I'm grateful to Dr. Seema for inviting me for this session and the entire QEC team of Greenwich University. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time. And have a good day, sir. Allah Hafiz.
Thank you. Hafiz.
Now, moving on, I would like to introduce Mr. Nazir Ahmed Khudabaksh, who will be joining us online from Mauritius. Mr. Nazir Ahmed Khudabaksh, Director of International Linkages at Greenwich Global College, with experience spanning consulting for universities, NGOs, and research organizations, and notable roles such as Commissioner of Education for Mauritius Branch. Mr. Khudabaksh will enlighten us on the importance of internationalization. Please welcome Mr. Nazir Khudabaksh.
Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected professionals of the QEC, faculty members, the QEC teams, and ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to address you in this symposium today, as in my capacity as Director International Linkage of Greenwich University, and to share my experience of the international diaspora regarding internationalization of universities. Unlike my predecessors who have been addressing you, I'll be focusing more on the benefits of the internationalization processes for universities, rather than on the quality assurance, which is not my area of specialization. I will, in this symposium, talk upon the need for internationalization and where Greenwich University has attained itself in this process. So in the outset, I'm going to say that at a time when globalization is bringing its fruit in areas relevant to trade, business, communication, we have to admit that not much has been done at the level of the academia to bring teaching learning under one international umbrella. And this is what necessitates the dialogue today in this conference, in this symposium on internationalization of education in the academia. It's raison d'etre, and it is it is vitally important in a world where information technology has taken such a high level dimension along with its artificial intelligence. And we believe that this internationalization is going to bring a lot of leverage in quality education and quality assurance. Well, my areas of focus in internationalization is based on the fact that our system of education, our teaching, our university fabric is static. It has not evolved with time. The COVID has given us an example that we have to review our strategies, our teaching learning system, our university fabric, our modes of communication. And throughout this stringent situation we have passed through COVID, we have been able to bring upon lots of reform, lots of rethinking, re-engineering, restructuring, and which today, I think one of them will be to take universities from where you are, from Karachi, catch it and explain, and bring this university to the different corners of the globe. This is internationalization. We cannot get a student for 4 years within the four walls, looking at the same faculty, looking at the other Abnawaz, looking only at the Ali Jilani, all for 4 years, and having the same teaching pedagogy, the same skill, the same curriculum, the same way of approach, one will agree with me that it will have a psychological impact on the student. One will agree that the boredom it creates towards the student is one of the factors which will impede on quality of education and quality of teaching and quality of learning. In this respect, I believe that to avoid this boredom, this routine, this what you call single fabric, single structure, same faculty, same staff, we believe that it is not productive at all for teaching learning. So one of the methods being utilized is let us link our university with multiple of universities across the world. Let us benefit from the international teaching pedagogy of others. Let us teach, let us learn from the other methods. Let us get the students an exposure in the world education scenario. And this is the first importance of internationalization, is a psychological benefit it brings to students in their teaching learning, where students are going to benefit on what we call the international teaching pedagogy, on the international exposure, on the international research facilities. And another, it provides a special ecosystem which will favor our educational infrastructure. So the first importance of this internationalization, as I said, is on the psychological impact on teaching learning. The second most important benefit of internationalization or cross-border education is its economic impact, the impetus, the economic impetus on the universities, on the country itself. A recent research carried out by in the United States on the academia revealed that most 75% of the retired people in the civil service who retired at the age of 65, 70, got to work till the year 80, 85 to pay the student loan of their children. Can you imagine student in Pakistan intending to go abroad and the consequential impact it will have on the foreign exchange reserve? Can you imagine for 1 second how the parents are looking for the foreign exchange, the dollar and the GBP, to go and study in the UK, in Canada, or in the United States? And this problem is accentuating day by day with a control on the foreign exchange reserve. So to put an end to all these dilemmas, to all these problematics, it is important for us to start an internationalization process where students and parents get the facilities to study in their own country of origin and to benefit from an international degree. And in a later stage, I'm going to explain how Greenwich is benefiting, is consolidating on that system. The third point, the third benefits of this dialogue, this talk, this conference will be on the benefits of internationalization will be on having an umbrella where all students, international students, are on the same umbrella, where they're exchanging their cultures. This is something which is very beneficial in the world of students, where students benefit the culture of each other. Language, it brings an end to racism. It bridges, it constructs bridges among different nations through the community of students. So internationalization in this perspective creates another sort of development in the students with regard to the personality grouping, with the critical thinking, with the communication management. So this can be attained through a collection, an agglomeration of races, of people, of nation under one umbrella through an internationalization process of universities, where students get the facilities to go in different countries through a well-designed structure of bilateral agreements or university agreement, and these students can benefit this kind of exposures. Another benefits of internationalization of students through different areas we're going to talk upon in a few minutes will be, it will create high employability and high experiences in international corporates. Can you imagine students benefiting from an international university program or internationalization process of universities where the internship can be catered by the country where they are studying at corporate training level, where they benefit that international expertise, that corporate training, and take that home and bring to the country of origin, and where they will be highly employable, and they can share the expertise of the international expertise in the local countries, in local corporate. This is another advantage we think upon of internationalization process. And most importantly, many students through this internationalization process got into what we call the student migration, where they can go abroad and may get opportunities also to get a certain study work visa, where most of the countries are providing these opportunities, and they can get also opportunities to be employed by the international firms and have a certain, and they can stay there, and they can immigrate, and they can get money and send it home in terms of foreign currency, help the family, help the country. These are a little bit the benefits of our internationalization. But for this to be possible, at time we need to have some proper strategies in place. And I wish to inform that Greenwich University is taking much, has conducted lots of studies and research to make this implement. That this university, I want to inform, is the first premier university in Pakistan to implant a branch campus in Mauritius. The vice chancellor was very, very capable and far-sighted in coming up with this strategy. A campus fully functional in Mauritius, recognized by the Higher Education Commission, pass out through all the regulations of compliances and regulatory framework, and achieve milestones in Pakistan and in cross-border. Well, in Mauritius, we started with most of the program here, and the good thing is we started recruiting students from sub-Saharan Africa, teaching Greenwich program. That is a big issue I have seen in Pakistan. We find that for obvious reasons, which all of us know, there is a lack of foreign students coming to study in Pakistan. And not much has been done at the level of authorities or sort of brainstorming sessions by various quarters to say, if they are not coming to Pakistan, we have to go abroad to teach them, because this country of Pakistan got an excellent human capital, excellent natural resource, rich in knowledge, capable people, competent people, and students are not coming there for obvious reasons of the negative portrayal of the international media in Pakistan, which we don't want to comment upon. but at least we go abroad. There are many, many forms of reaching students abroad, especially the online platform. The internationalization process were established of campuses abroad. And Greenwich did it in Mauritius. And very soon, Greenwich is going to open campuses in other countries, in the Gulf countries as well. And we have this in our project. We're working upon it, inshallah. That will be materializing very soon. Another way of establishing its internationalization, which will help eventually for Pakistan to attract FDIs by this effort, by this method, is to introduce what we call the 2+2 system, the 3+1 system, the 1+3 system, which we already initiated in Greenwich with some top-notch universities abroad. Well, the university start with year 1 in Greenwich, do second year in, say, Melbourne, and end up third year and fourth year in Canada. And this can be rotated as well, starting from Canada, ended up to Karachi in Greenwich. The advantage of the system is it is cost saving. Many students won't feel it a heavy burden, especially the parents, to find that exorbitant sum to get an international degree in the United States or the UK by this system. They can afford the 3 years in Pakistan and the 1 year end up in UK or in the US or in Canada, in Australia, and get what we call a dual certificate or a triple certificate or one certificate. So this will benefit parents from economizing. And also, this will help students to save money and to go abroad, and where the other benefits also be obtained. So this is the advantages of internationalization through what we call the 2+2, the 3+1, and then 1+3 system. The most important thing which I have observed and which Pakistan is not consolidating upon is the installation of satellites at cross-border level. Satellite universities have, like in Mauritius, we have done for Greenwich, this kind of thing should be increased from the academia in Pakistan to start developing memorandum of understanding and linkages with various countries in sub-Saharan Africa, in other countries in the Gulf, where we can install satellite campuses and run our program. A fourth and the most important development which went up in Greenwich and which is unique, and where I have to congratulate my Vice Chancellor for her willingness, capability, and strength and dynamism and farsightedness, is when we came to realize the harm caused by the massive drain of finance and currency over the O-level and A-level exam in Pakistan and other countries of the world. We are still under the colonial system, thinking that the O-level and the A-level exam are what students would require to end up in a university. That is a very, very misconception. The days are gone. You know, still up till today, we find that many students are sitting for the O-level, A-level exam, and the fees are skyrocketing. And these people there are simply the examining bodies. And we find that this has caused considerable harm and prejudice to many parents as well. At the Greenwich, we have started with an international foundation program. And we created a constituent college called the Greenwich Global College under the Greenwich University, where we run foundation program as an alternative pathway to the A-level, O-level. And this program is being exported abroad through the internationalization processes. We are going to sub-Saharan Africa. We'll penetrate very soon Mauritius also. We are going to penetrate also in Oman. in the Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia. And the good thing is that this program has already been accredited, approved by the University of Western England. And other institutions also are showing interest on that. So with this foundation, which is of 26 months duration, which is time which is time saving, which is cost saving, which gives you the same award like an A-level, O-level by the IBCC. You can go to any part of the world and study. Especially we are building linkages, bridges with many of the universities in the UK. I am talking with France, with a very, very leading university, which has nearly agreed, accepted all our foundation, and even our 2+1, 2+2 system. And eventually we are going to penetrate through Canada. So with that, our students can cut costs, can save money, save time, and stop with these wastage of fund in the Cambridge O-level, A-level, which O-level, and so this will help the student to go abroad as well. So these are some ways, some methodologies we are putting in practice in Greenwich in the internationalization process. Now to be the only constraint we have had in the 2+1, 2+2 system, and which requires a certain caution, is the mapping of the curriculum. We did it with one of the leading universities where the dean of faculty, where their head of department of, say, of media in that university and a head of department of media in our university has sat down for many days, many weeks, aligning the curriculum. Once this is done, all the courses deficiencies addressed, then the MOU was signed, then the program started. Alhamdulillah, it's going to be functional very soon. Students from their country, from their university, will come to follow a certain, there will be student exchange, they will come to follow one semester in our universities and vice versa. And all these will develop student personality and will be another perspective. Another thing I would like to wish to stress upon, and which I used to repeat, to echo time and again in international conferences, is a lack of coordination between national resolution, but between national and international decisions and resolutions they have reached, and where the academia is completely cut off from the reality. When in COPs 21, they decided that countries should comply entirely with the SDG goals to address many of the issues relevant to environmental management, climatic change. Not much has been done at the level of academia to address this. International and national resolution should go line with the academy. Whenever a decision is taken at international, national level, before the government implements it in its own way, the university must be prepared. In Mauritius, I got the shock when a couple of years or so, the Minister of Finance decided to make Islamic banking a compulsory must in the bank. They amended the Banking Act to make Islamic banking as a window in the conventional banks. You will get a shock. This is a policy decision. This is a government decision. Yet our academia in Mauritius didn't even know about it until we took the decision. And at that time, I remember we brought the International Islamic University of Islamabad, IIUI, to come in one of these prestigious institutions in Mauritius at private level where we signed an MOU. We invited them to come and started a training program on Islamic banking where about 50 to 70 were trained and started operating. So these are deficiencies we note where resolutions at national, international level should go line in line automatically with the academia. And here also, I make a plea. Very soon I'm going to my Vice Chancellor. I am going to talk to her on another issues that in a world which is confronting tough natural issues like climatic change, we need to have mandatory in all the courses from undergraduate to PhD level, a course on environmental management. It is unacceptable that a top-notch professional from Harvard University walking in the street and find a battery, a cell battery on the road would not collect it and put it in a bin to avoid, the consequences of pollution caused by the battery. It is unacceptable also for that courses in universities or in schools or in colleges deprive of a value system when the whole world is, you see the mentality of people which is being affected by lack of values. It is unacceptable for a leading professional walking on the road, finding a banana peel on the street, would not care to collect it and put it on a side because he has got a degree, but he couldn't get an education. The education is a value education. And I'm going to come up with, to talk to my Vice Chancellor, to make it mandatory that in all the courses you are teaching at the university, from a quality assurance perspective, to ensure that value education is examinable and is taught in all degree programs, along with environmental management to address the daunting challenges of the world. I think this is a bit of what I wanted to talk about. It is more on the benefits of internationalization, and I am ready to answer any questions which anybody would like to ask upon. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, sir, for such enlightenment and valuable session. Now we have questions for you. The very first question is by Mr. Ali Raza. Ms. Rafia Khan is asking, what future trends do you foresee in the intersection of SDGs and quality assurance in higher education?
I would be able to answer the question myself, not being a specialist in quality assurance.
If anyone would have any question, please write in the chat column. So thank you so much, Mr. Nazir Kudabal, for being with us today, taking out your time from your busy schedule and for your enlightenment session.
Thank you for having me in this conference. Wish you the best. Have a nice day. Have a nice day. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, now I would like to introduce our very own Mr. Ali Jalani, a distinguished advocate for climate justice, democratic governance, and human rights. As a selected regional speaker for the High-Level Political Forum 2023, he addressed the UN General Assembly. With expertise in sustainability, advocacy, and leadership roles in intergovernmental processes, Mr. Jilani will discuss the role of SDGs in quality assurance in higher education. Please welcome Mr. Ali Jilani.
I hope I'm audible. It's Assalamu alaikum and very good noon. We're almost there. 2 minutes to go. I hope I can afford to be bilingual during my presentation because there are a few things that we'll be talking about in terms of sustainability and so on and so forth, which is basically my area. But I will also try to speak about sustainability in conjunction with internationalization with the population. लेकिन कोशिश मेरी ये होगी कि क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस पे मैं कम बात करूंगा. I will basically focus around the idea of the philosophy of quality assurance and what exactly was the expectation from higher education institutions in terms of their pursuit around quality assurance operational structures vis-a-vis academic structures where we're working. लेकिन जहाँ थोड़ा सा कुछ एनालिसिस है वहाँ पे we will try to look at our discussion. अच्छा अब ये क्यों जरूरी है? I think that's very important to understand in terms of how we see sustainability connects us with quality assurance within the framework of quality assurance, and then how do we try to dovetail that dynamic? Just I was hearing what Dr. Usmani was alluding to, the idea of we no more being in a position कि जी हम एक बबल के अंदर रहें, तो अब बड़ा जरूरी है कि जी आप सब रीजनल रीजनल और फिर जो ग्लोबल स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं उसके ऊपर जाके कनेक्ट करने की कोशिश करें, and how you can try to advance collective pursuits जिनका ताल्लुक हमारी कुछ तो अपनी कम्युनिटी के साथ है within Pakistan, but also you will see the discussion around extraterritorial obligations जो हमारे मुख्तलिफ किस्म के रैंकिंग सिस्टम्स हैं etc. You will see that those discursive patterns are slowly and gradually emerging. एक तो हमारा बड़ा जो अहम एक कंट्रीब्यूशन होता है और जिसका ताल्लुक हमारी मार्केटिंग से भी है, हमारी एकेडमिक रेपुटेशन से भी है, that is the idea of being ranked across different systems, right? So one of them, which is gaining a lot of purchase in Pakistan over the last few years, is the idea of Times Higher Education's impact ranking. Greenwich University में आपको आगे एक दो slides में share करूँगा कि जी we were able to excel in goal 8, which is around economic growth. तो इसके अंदर जो हमारा लिस्टिंग है, एक तो हम सस्टेनेबिलिटी को उस लिहाज से अप्रोच कर रहे हैं, लेकिन if we go back to the discussion which was taking place at the General Assembly, I had the privilege of being one of the youngest civil society activists present at the General Assembly in 2016. जब ये फ्रेमवर्क की अडॉप्शन के बाद जो पहला हाई लेवल पॉलिटिकल फोरम हुआ, तो वहाँ जो डिस्कशंस हो रही थी, because thematic areas were being finalized और साथ में interagency expert group was trying to work around the indicators of sustainability and so on and so forth. तो वहीं से every country's parliament, so there is a collective of parliaments around the world which is called the Interparliamentary Union. So Interparliamentary Union basically committed every country, a member state of the United Nations, 193 of them, will try to implement this global social contract, as they call it, the Sustainable Development Goals framework. So वहीं से when your planning commission commits it after the parliamentary task force, that means you're going to have cross-cutting implications across all of your departments, meaning the departments of education in your country, the departments of health, social protection, to do with economic growth, environmental protection ministries, and all of those institutions will slowly and gradually try to align their operational vis-a-vis strategic work with the global development framework. तो वहां से ये डिस्कशन इवॉल्व होता है, and we saw slowly and gradually कि HEC का बहुत सारा कुछ, as you can see on the slide also, is kind of like shifting towards that dynamic, right? तो एक तो है हमारा अब जो global ranking है, which is the impact ranking, जिसके अंदर we try to then make submissions. इसके अलावा जो थोड़ा सा इसकी critique आती है कि अभी तक the focus mainly is around the idea of sustainability and not so much on the rest of the aspects to do with the academic reputation of institutions. तो वहाँ मैं आपसे शेयर करना चाह रहा था कि जी जो आपका दुनिया का मुस्तनद तरीन रैंकिंग सिस्टम है for QEC, they also revised their framework last year, and the three new areas that they have included are to do with sustainability, international research network, and then the third is which is to do with your employability prospects, KG. What exactly is the real-time impact of your alumni sitting across different positions? So that is also coming into the fold, and we know, as a matter of fact, that in QS ranking, the validation system, the cross-verification system is quite strong. So उसमें that means just listing KG वो जो हम कहते हैं ना वो बशीरिया है गल बद गई है, तो वो अब बद रही है गल असल में, राइट? तो अब ये खाली इस बात पे नहीं रहेगा कि आपका कितना फैकल्टी जो है वो पब्लिकेशंस करता है और उसका कितना इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर आ रहा है एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ, the discussion is going beyond that now, right? So, which is why then you are asked questions across these international frameworks around the ideas कि जी आप policy advice देते हैं नहीं देते अपने planning commission को किसी regional process में आप contribute करते हैं नहीं करते and so on and so forth, all of those ideas. अगला जो चीज थोड़ा सा formalize हुआ है globally is the idea of United Nations academic impact. This is also a system. I'm sure quite a few of the universities from our country are already taking part in this. If you're not, you're invited to do so. It's also a good system to be listed on, and of course, then try to amplify the contributions that you make. The other structure that we have is the United Nations Global Compact. This is basically एक चीज डिस्कस हो रही थी around 2015 2013 से जब MDGs का exploration framework आया. So one of the discussions was that we need to adopt a whole of the society, meaning that you have to opt for not just governments and private sector, but civil society, academia, and other structures also in collective pursuit to sustainability and development. So ये जो UNGC वाला है, that's also a very good structure that we can basically take advantage of in terms of being listed, visibly trying to contribute. उसके अलावा हम देख रहे हैं there's a lot of emerging emphasis around the idea of regulatory entities compliance, जिसमें you will see that slowly and gradually HEC के जो आपके मुख्तलिफ review के structures हैं, basically उनके जो incentivization के structures हैं, they are more and more increasingly being aligned with sustainable development. Similarly, then charter inspection and evaluation committees considerations, you will also see that within a few years' time you will see a lot of alignment around those. इसी तरह HEC का जैसे मैंने कहा कि comparative processes. फिर जब हम international accreditation agencies के ऊपर जाते हैं, तो you will see the likes of International Association of Universities, the likes of NAPSA, ACU, AACSB, etc. All of those are trying to dovetail around the idea of trying to implement this global social contract. अब मैं आगे जाके आपसे थोड़ा सा बात करूंगा कि universities का pivotal role क्यों बनता है at the international stage when we look at the situation of sustainability as we speak. एक बहुत ही miserable किस्म का situation है as far as the implementation of sustainable development is concerned, and most of that has to do with the lack of availability of data. Right, so there we will talk more about it. लेकिन जो चीज इस वक्त बड़ी जरूरी है हमारे लिए as the education fraternity of the country is the idea of trying to institutionalize a nexus of all of those three considerations. Internationalization, of course, कि जी आप experience sharing or learning and so on and so forth, एक बड़ा contribution जिसको हम amplify कर सकते हैं developing country के तनाजुर में is the idea of we trying to inform regional and global deliberative processes जो कि हम बड़े कमजोर हैं खाते उसमें, and that is a lot to do with the lack of emphasis on research. बड़ा एक मुश्किल फैसला अभी recently आजकल discussion में है in terms of HEC की जो funding को थोड़ा सा कट वगैरह अभी लग रहा है and all. I was reading the other day that the 65 billion से I think it's falling around 25 or so. तो ये बड़ी policy incoherent किस्म की contradictions हैं that we need to avoid, because अब जब पाकिस्तान report करेगा, दो दफा हम report कर चुके हैं 2019 में at the high level political forum on sustainable development पे हर मुल्क जो है वो रिपोर्ट करता है और हर हाई लेवल पॉलिटिकल फोरम में 3-4 गोल जो है वो अंडर फोकस होते हैं और पांचवा जो is a permanent one, which is goal 17. So they are reviewed. So Pakistan is yet to report as part of its third cycle. तो उस रिपोर्ट के अंदर खासी हमें मुश्किल आएगी if we report के जी हमारा हायर एजुकेशन का जो बजट है वो मजीद कंस्ट्रक्ट हो गया. So that is a policy incoherent deviation in my personal opinion, because of the fact that जी आप जो regional average देखते हैं 4 से 6% का education की spending में हम उसको वैसे ही नहीं meet करते थे. We were lackluster around 3% or so of the GDP. और फिर unfortunately उसका 0.3% only was invested in research. ठीक, तो हमने अगर इन इंटरनेशनल सिस्टम्स के अंदर अपना फुटहोल्ड बेहतर बनाना है, तो the only thing that we have is ingenuity, intuition, right, innovation. तो वो वाला जो एस्पेक्ट है हमारा, वो of course comes from research, right? And when we try to improve the outcomes of our institutions as collective, so that of course has a lot to do with QEC consideration. So all of those things, and of course, when we try to improve that, तो जाहिर उसमें हमें invest करना पड़ेगा, human capital develop करना पड़ेगा, and so on and so forth. So all of those considerations in combination, then try to have a certain sense of complementarity in terms of how you advance sustainability and sustainable development goals. Or by the way, already एक slide में आगे शायद कहीं बात करूँगा आपसे, अगर इसको आगे कर दें जी, जो डिस्कशन है अगले फ्रेमवर्क का, ये तो 2030 तक का है आपका एसडीजीज, वो भी जो है वो एडवांस हो रहा है ऑलरेडी। अच्छा, अब मैं थोड़ा सा पीछे, रॉल्स थे बड़े एक फैंटास्टिक पॉलिटिकल फिलोसोफर अमेरिकन, इन्होंने बड़ी एक अहम बात की थी, मेरे ख्याल से वहां हम लोकेटेड हैं एज एकेडमिक इंस्टीट्यूशन, हम मुआशरे का ब्रेन है, राइट? तो इन्होंने कहा था थियरी ऑफ जस्टिस, इनकी बड़ी एक ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव किताब थी, जिसके बाद अमर्त्य सेन ने जो आइडिया ऑफ जस्टिस लिखी, उसने यूनाइटेड नेशंस के बहुत सारे डेवलपमेंट फ्रेमवर्क्स के अंदर फंडामेंटल लेवल पे बहुत चेंजेस लाए उस काम से। तो उसमें जो एक बुनियादी कंसिडरेशन थी रॉल्स के काम में, वो थी कि जस्टिस इज द फर्स्ट वर्च्यू ऑफ सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशन। हम सोशल इदारे हैं, हम सोसाइटी के अंदर ही लोकेटेड हैं। Justice is the first virtue of social institutions, as truth is of systems of thought. तो हमारा जो काम है बहैसियत यूनिवर्सिटीज is to actually produce thought leaders, produce thought systems, produce structures of thought, right? तो उसमें where exactly do we stand? अब उसका लाजिम नहीं है कि एक डिनोमिनेटर सिर्फ ये रैंकिंग सिस्टम हो कि हम किस रैंकिंग सिस्टम में कहाँ हैं। It's actually the real-time impact at the societal level, and you will see all of these ranking systems. I am in a conversation with Duncan Ross. He's जो ये lead designer है आपके in fact ranking के हिसाब से, तो हम उनको approach कर रहे हैं, एक regional structure है उसके थ्रू, और हम इनसे यही कह रहे हैं कि भाई अभी तक आपको 3-4 साल हो गए हैं ये रैंकिंग सिस्टम निकालते हुए, लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली यू आर स्टिल स्टक एट द इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटीज। What about the university's contribution to the sphere of influence around them within the community or society? And I tell you that the transition in thought is actually moving in that direction. So हमसे अब demand किया जाएगा across these different ranking systems, slowly and gradually, that we try to evolve ourselves in terms of amplifying our contributions as universities moving forward. भाई इसको आगे, अच्छा, दूसरा मैं आपसे कुछ rather than quality assurance or sustainability or ये internationalization की बात, मैं आपसे अपने लोगों की तरह भी बात करना चाह रहा था। हम हैसियत शहरी, all of us, where do we exactly stand? You see, it's a very grim picture, this particular slide, but I feel this should wake us up in a way, in terms of trying to internalize the ideas, not for the sake of any ranking systems or so, but also in terms of our very consciousness as a people. We need to adopt a course correction in terms of getting somewhere better. तो हमारी जो अभी सिचुएशन है, it's right there in front of you. मैं तो करता ही हूँ जी, I do this for living because that's my work. And I see a lot of people in your institutions will also be doing so. तो उसको थोड़ा सा हमें मिलजुल के कॉम्प्लीमेंट करना है कि हम इन मुख्तलिफ सिस्टम्स में, जैसे हम यूनिवर्सिटीज में कोशिश करते हैं कि यार हमारी रैंकिंग बेहतर हो जाए, तो ये हमारे मुल्क की रैंकिंग है। ह्यूमन डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स अगर आप देखें, जो लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी, एजुकेशन एंड पर कैपिटा इनकम को देखता है, तो हम 164 पे नंबर पे हैं। ग्लोबल यूथ डेवलपमेंट इंडेक्स जिसमें हम 64% हमारा यूथ है। वी नीड टू really have some sense of strategic foresight as to how we will utilize the potential of this youth moving forward, right? And global जो gender gap index है, ख़वातीन की representation and political empowerment and so on के हवाले से, उसमें भी lackluster बहुत पीछे की तरफ। डेमोक्रेसी इंडेक्स पे भी वर इन हाइब्रिड regimes and so on. इसी तरह प्रेस फ्रीडम इंडेक्स हो गया, बाकी हो गया। अब जहां वी ट्राई टू यू सी, मैं इसको एम्पलीफाई करना चाह रहा हूँ कि जी ये महज आपके इदारों तक महदूद डिस्कशन नहीं। I think we need more avenues of collective reflection and collaborative action कि जी हम ये जो छोटा छोटा यूनिवर्सिटी लेड जो है वो कंट्रीब्यूशन है, इसको कंजॉइन कैसे करेंगे for us to be able to improve our national rankings across global systems, right? So it's not just a discussion around the idea of institutional rankings across different systems. आगे कीजिए। अच्छा, अब एक बड़ा अहम मुद्दा जो मैं स्लाइड में कवर करना चाह रहा था, सस्टेनेबिलिटी। आई होप यू आर ऑलरेडी फेमिलियर कि जी तीन बुनियादी कंसिडरेशन है इसमें। एक तो ये कि जी ये फाइनाइट प्लैनेट है, इट हैज यू नो फाइनाइट रिसोर्सेज, तो उस तरह से कंजर्वेशन ऑफ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज वाज वन ऑफ द प्रिलिमिनरी कंसिडरेशंस जो ब्रंटन कमीशन बना था 87 में। उसने जो एक फॉरवर्ड की थी कॉन्क्रीट रिकमेंडेशन, वो ये थी कि जी हमें थोड़ा सा ध्यान करना है कि जी हम किस तरह यूटिलाइज कर रहे हैं रिसोर्सेज। दूसरी जो चीज है वो इसमें कंसिडरेशन होती है रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी फॉर फ्यूचर जनरेशन कि जी आप आने वालों के लिए क्या छोड़ के जा रहे हैं। एंड द थर्ड इज कि जी बहुत सारे हमारी दुनिया में मामला रहे हैं, कॉलोनियलिटी से लेके बहुत बहुत इश्यूज हैं, जिसमें एक खिता जो है वो नॉर्थ कहलाता है, जो डेवलप्ड है, उसके पास बहुत सारा रिसोर्सेज है, एवरीथिंग। दूसरा जो खिता है वो हम साउथ वाले हैं, जिनके पास बहुत सारी स्केर्सिटी ऑफ रिसोर्सेज है, बहुत सारी डेप्रिवेशन है, महरूमी भूख का क्लास है, ऑल ऑफ दोस इश्यूज। तो एक तो मैं आपसे ये शेयर करना चाह रहा था कि ये हादसाती नहीं, right? It's a result of schematized policies from the West. I will speak to you about it. लेकिन अब ये है बहुत से सालों की स्ट्रगल के बाद कि this discussion is taking place at the global. तो I'm sure कि अगर हम थोड़ा सा अपना रोल बेहतर समझें तो I hope कि you know, we can also contribute as universities to that motion. देखिए, हम जब माशरे का मेकअप करते हैं तो तीन चीजें आपके सामने आती हैं। एक है जो आपकी गवर्नमेंट है। यूजली हमारे यहाँ ये माना जाता है कि जी हुकूमत जो है ना वो आपके वैल्यूज एंड विजन्स का तयन करेगी, हालांकि ऐसा नहीं है। एस्टैब्लिश्ड डेमोक्रेसीज में यू विल सी कि जी वैल्यूज एंड विजन्स कम फ्रॉम द पीपल, they come from the communities, right? Social structures, social institutions, जिसमें यूनिवर्सिटी as a social brain का बड़ा एक बुनियादी ताल्लुक। ठीक है, मार्केट जो है वो गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करेगा, गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशंस एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर आपके सामने देगा, लेकिन विजनिंग का जो काम है, स्ट्रेटेजिक फोरसाइट का जो काम है, वो लोगों ने करना है। हम इलेक्टोरेट होते हैं जिसकी बुनियाद पर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स आपके जो बैठे हैं वहां पे, एंड वी लुक एट देयर मैनिफेस्टोस एंड सो ऑन। हम अभी थोड़ा पीछे हैं इस डिस्कशन में, लेकिन आई होप दैट वी कैन sort of politically educate our kids more in order to contribute to our nation building process in that sense. दूसरा चॉम्स्की साहब जैसे जो मलंग हैं दुनिया में, वो बड़ी अहम कंसिडरेशंस फॉरवर्ड करते हैं, जिनमें एक है कि जो उनकी एक्सपेक्टेशन होती है कि जो स्कॉलर्स हो या यूनिवर्सिटीज हो, वो इंटेलेक्चुअल सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एक चीज है कि इसको एडवांस करने की कोशिश करें। कि जी उनका महज काम ये नहीं है कि जी आपने इतना नंबर ऑफ ग्रेजुएट निकाल दिया, उनका काम ये भी है कि जी कॉम्पिटेंस से आगे जाके आप कैरेक्टर भी देखो कि बच्चे को आपने क्या बनाया है और उसका कंट्रीब्यूशन क्या है। जब ऐसा होने लगेगा तो फिर आप ये देखेंगे कि जी हम जो अभी एक अप्रोच है अनफॉर्चुनेटली इन टर्म्स ऑफ द ग्लोबल डेवलपमेंट मॉडल वेयर व्हिच प्रायोरिटाइजेस प्रॉफिट्स ओवर पीपल एंड द प्लैनेट, दैट्स हाउ वी हैव बीन इन टर्म्स ऑफ आवर मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक गवर्नेंस। बट once you start stimulating these kind of discussions that I'm talking about, so you will see that, you know, we will try to prioritize people and the planet over profits, right? Or we will try to reverse the trends कि you know companies जो है वो आपके stakeholders के लिए काम करना शुरू करें जो कि आज shareholders के लिए, right? फिर हमारे सामने इस तरह के सवाल आना शुरू हो जाएंगे जिसमें कोक एंड ओबेसिटी का क्या ताल्लुक है, कोल पावर प्लांट्स और डिफॉरेस्टेशन के क्या असरात हैं, फॉसिल फ्यूल्स का फेज आउट जो है वो हमने कैसे करना है, उसका ओजोन के साथ क्या ताल्लुक है। फिर ये जो आपके कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, ट्रस्ट, क्लब्स एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ की डिस्कशन है, विल कंप्लीटली ट्रांसफॉर्म द फैब्रिक इन इटसेल्फ। लेकिन आई टेल यू कि कोई और मुआशरे में ऐसा ऑर्गेनाइज स्ट्रक्चर नहीं है जो इसके लिए कोई मॉडल फराहम कर सके। or I have this expectation that the universities can actually step up in that role to be able to do that. My next speaking. अब ये 5 considerations थी कि 2013 से जब discussion चला 15 तक तो we needed to make sure that we do something for people. Then planet of course based on partnerships to have peace as a prerequisite for sustainable development to ensure that we're all prosperous and everybody has enough to make a living and so on. So इसके लिए framework बनाया गया था. Next कीजिएगा. ये 17 गोल्स हैं आप लोगों ने देखे होंगे. इसके बुनियादी तौर पर 3 डायमेंशंस हैं. एक है कि जी आपका सोसाइटी, तो आपको चंद गोल्स नजर आएंगे जो पॉवर्टी इरेडिकेशन और हंगर को खत्म करने से लेके तालीम, सेहत, जेंडर इक्वालिटी, साफ पानी की फराहमी, इक्वालिटीज का खत्म करना है, सो ऑन सो फोर्थ. कुछ आपको इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ से रिलेटेड नजर आएंगे जिसमें इनोवेशन एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर है, रिस्पांसिबल कंजम्पशन एंड प्रोडक्शन है, सो ऑन सो फोर्थ. और कुछ आपको नजर आएंगे क्लाइमेट एडेप्टेशन और एक्शन के हिसाब से कि जी क्या इसमें अचीव करना है. ऑफ कोर्स उसके लिए 2 जो प्री रेक्विजिट्स हैं, एक है आपका कि जी गवर्नेंस आपके यहाँ बड़ी एफिशिएंट और रोबस्ट हो जो गोल 16 है, और ये हो नहीं सकता अलावा पार्टनरशिप्स के जो गोल 17 है. So this is what we got. I'll talk about some of the splits in our critical consciousness around this framework also. और क्यों हमें जरूरत है, ये मतलब ऐसा नहीं है जिसको अब ये ऐसा है कि जी वो जो सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है नेशनल लेवल पे, तो एसडीजीज को ग्लोबली सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कहा जाता है कि ये आइन है गवर्नमेंट्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड एंड पीपल्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड के दरमियान में. लेकिन आई टेल यू देयर आर सेवरल कॉन्ट्रडिक्शंस. ये जो लाइनें आपको नजर आ रही हैं इसमें बहुत सारे मसले भी हैं. तो I'll share some of those thoughts, and वही असल में हमारा रोल लोकेटेड है as universities to not just try to understand. एक तो हम ये देखें कि यार इसमें intersectional ties and complementarities कहाँ पे हैं and how we can try to amplify those, but also try to see where there are flaws and those need to be identified, for us to be able to get to a better world. हमारे यहाँ जी हमने मैं थोड़ा सा ये कुछ आपको स्लाइड्स दिखाऊंगा जिसमें मेरे इदारे का जो थोड़ा बहुत कंट्रीब्यूशन है in terms of the global discourse, वो आपके सामने आएगा, और साथ में I will be leading the discussion in terms of the structures on your institutional side as well. कि जी क्या पैटर्न्स हैं, और मेरे ख्याल से ये कुछ प्रैक्टिसेस जैसे बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस का शेयर करना होता है उस तरह से भी है कि जी क्या चीजें हम शायद कन्वेंशनली सोचते हैं कि जी एज ए यूनिवर्सिटी हम कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते, तो उसके लिए भी कुछ आइडियाज हैं कि जी we can up our game in terms of moving forward. तो हमने देखा है कि यूजुअली 2 स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं आपके अक्रॉस इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो कि रिपोर्ट कर रहे होते हैं अराउंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी इन पर्टिकुलर. एक है जो ऑफिस ऑफ रिसर्च इनोवेशन कमर्शियलाइजेशन है जो हमारे यहाँ भी उसी तरह से हम इस पे काम करते हैं. दूसरा ऑफ कोर्स आपका डिपार्टमेंट है व्हिच इज द क्वालिटी एनहांसमेंट सेल. कैन आई टेल यू कि रिसर्च इनोवेशन एंड कमर्शियलाइजेशन शायद अभी कुछ डिस्कशन हो रहा था एचईसी के वर्कशॉप में कि शायद ये और भी हो जाए कि जो ऑफिस ऑफ रिसर्च इनोवेशन एंड सस्टेनेबिलिटी मूविंग फॉरवर्ड वो जो पेटेंट वगैरह की कहानियां हैं, हाउ सोशल साइंसेज इंस्टीट्यूशंस सफर इन दैट डिस्कशन. बहरहाल इसके साथ जो हमने यहाँ कोशिश की थोड़ा सा वो ये की कि वी ट्राई टू इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट 2018 में, जब अभी ये फैक्ट रैंकिंग वगैरह चीजें नहीं थी. तो सिंस वी वर फॉलोइंग दैट डिस्कशन तो हमने ये किया कि एक नॉट फॉर प्रॉफिट इदारा बनाया जो कि एफिलिएटेड है, इट्स अ पॉलिसी थिंक टैंक विद ग्रीनविच यूनिवर्सिटी. And the credit goes to the leadership for understanding the argument that universities need to try to bridge the gulf which we have, especially in our country, between academia and the policy process. कि हम कैसे contribute करने की कोशिश करें ये जो गल्फ है इसको. तो 2018 से हम इस स्फीयर में काम कर रहे हैं. I'll share a few more things on that. Moving on. ये एक चीज है जो कि हमने समझी 2018 में. We understood even prior to that. One of the ideas as part of our internationalization was the issue of Pakistan's image around the world. So cultural diplomacy का जो component है that we tried to entwine, and what we did was to actually take a delegation of 25 students to the European Parliament, the biggest parliament in the world, and try to speak to the mindset, to the policy mindset in the West. कि जी जो कुछ आप मीडिया पे देखते हैं और जिस तरह से पाकिस्तान को पोर्ट्रे किया जाता है, that's not quite true. And we have some amazing, brilliant individuals who can be the leaders of the future. They are the ones, you know, who will represent our country and so on and so forth. तो उस लिहाज से एक तो ये एवेन्यू है जो इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन में हो सकता है। हमारा हर भेजा जाने वाला बच्चा जो आप किसी एक्सचेंज प्रोग्राम के अंदर भेजें, या वो अगर हमारा अलमनाई है और किसी बाहर वाले इदारे में पढ़ने जाता है, वो बच्चा ये कैपेसिटी रखता है to be able to play a positive role for this country in trying to reimage it at the global stage, right? And that is what we try to inculcate in our students here as well, right? So that's a very strong component that we have. We try to engage with missions here also, जो मुख्तलिफ मुल्कों के हैं, in terms of trying to enhance our bi and multilateral relations. Please, अच्छा, दूसरा सर साहब बात कर रहे थे गालिबन एरास्मस प्लस के हवाले से। एरास्मस प्लस आप लोग जानते होंगे, अभी मेरे ख्याल से लास्ट ईयर एचईसी ने एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव वर्कशॉप कराया जिसमें आई एम श्योर कि योर यूनिवर्सिटी मस्ट हैव पुट प्रपोजल्स विद द यूरोपियन पार्टनर्स। सो ये बड़ी खुशाइन बात है कि जी फ्रॉम द रेगुलेटर एज अ सेंट्रल एंटिटी बहुत सारे इदारों को साथ लेके चलने की कोशिश है in terms of how we can send our students across the borders and gain the insights and experience and so on from there. तो हम इसका हिस्सा रहे हैं 2019 से already. Last year we actually finished our first grant cycle with the European Commission. ये ऑस्ट्रिया में एक इदारा है IMC Finns, जिनके साथ हमारी पार्टनरशिप थी between 2020 to 2023. Where we sent our kids for the exchange program and we were able to achieve fantastic results. Though साल इसमें because of COVID we couldn't operationalize the mobilities earlier. लेकिन I would really encourage these kind of trends कि जी internationalization में बड़ा impact पड़ता है अगर आपके लोग वहाँ जाते हैं। Faculty exchange का भी component था, so I had the opportunity to represent the university. इसमें we were there in terms of जो मैं पहले कह रहा था कि जी सिर्फ ये नहीं है कि जी बहुत अच्छा है, गोरा हमसे बहुत आगे है, बहुत बेहतर जानता है दुनिया के modalities को और साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी सब चीज में हमसे आगे है, लेकिन I assure you there are a lot of things that we can take the lead in terms of trying to explain to them. तो हमने ये कुछ वर्कशॉप्स और सिम्पोजिया वहाँ जाके किए थे, और एक वैल्यूज 20 नेटवर्क है यूरोप में जो कि इमिग्रेशन पॉलिसी को इन्फ्लुएंस करने की कोशिश करता है। तो वी वर पार्ट ऑफ द डिस्कशंस एज पार्ट ऑफ आवर एक्सचेंज कंपोनेंट देयर एज वेल। उसके बाद भी हमारी कोशिश होती है कि कराची रिसर्च शेयर का भी मैं this kid was an intern at Karachi Research Chair, and we're really proud to have her, being nominated and selected as the youngest delegate from Pakistan. ये पिछले साल high level political forum में she was there in the General Assembly in New York. आगे चलिए। इसी तरह से ये बच्चा जो है वो स्विस इंटरनेशनल फिल्म फेस्टिवल जो होता है उसके अंदर he not just won it एक साल में, बल्कि next year he was also among the judges. So those are also avenues where we can contribute. ये हमारा बच्चा was there in terms of हमारा बच्चा है वो this is, by the way, she's a trans kid. ये was among the flood page response में heroes को acknowledge किया गया. Aradia, she's a fantastic kid. और by the way, I'm really glad to share with you कि जी we are the first university in Pakistan जिन्होंने इस चीज को ऑफिशियली रिकॉग्नाइज किया कि पाकिस्तान में जो ट्रांसजेंडर कम्युनिटी है उनकी इंटीग्रेशन के ऊपर कोई खास काम नहीं है कि जी we can provide them with a standardized level of education so that they can find some adequate means of employability moving forward. तो she's a fantastic kid और जो leadership potential उसने दिखाया in the flood response was recognized at the national level. This is one of our faculty members as part of the exchange that we had with the Russian university. ये कोई fashion show था वहाँ पे, he was called in as a judge. This is another faculty member and a staff and some of our students who have been winning the different kind of documentary competitions, not just nationally but also globally. those are the sort of contributions that we've been trying to make. 2023 में मैंने आपसे पहले शेयर किया कि the impact ranking में we ranked number 1 in Pakistan on SDGs 8 जो economic growth से relate करता है, and we were 61st globally. आगे चलिए. अच्छा, उसके बाद I just wanted to take a few reflections here. कराची रिसर्च है मैंने आपसे शेयर किया, ये वो गोल्स हैं जिसपे हमारा की फोकस होता है. चलिएगा. हम लोग लास्ट ईयर जनरल असेंबली I had the privilege of addressing the General Assembly's political declaration 2023 का जो 11 से 12 मुल्कों की नुमाइंदगी मैं कर सका from the Asian Pacific region. और साथ में ये हाई लेवल पॉलिटिकल फोरम पे जो है वो हमारे कुछ कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस थे. एशियन पैसिफिक लेवल पे भी हम काम करते रहते हैं. अब ये वो चीज है जो कि आई फील कि शायद हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारे इदारों के अंदर नहीं है, स्पेशली एट द यूनिवर्सिटीज लेवल, कि जी एक डेडिकेटेड आपका आइदर पॉलिसी थिंक टैंक की शक्ल में या कोई ऐसी एंटिटी जो नॉलेज प्रोड्यूस करे और फिर वो डिस्कर्सिव पैटर्न्स जो है ग्लोबल लेवल पे, जिसमें बहुत सारे ये हमने आपके सामने लिस्ट किए हैं जहां हम कंट्रीब्यूट करते रहे. So these are open for academic institutions to try to engage and contribute. Economic and Social Commission है जो principal organ है, and others. So we have also facilitated from Greenwich University का जो ये think tank है, यहाँ से हमने कुछ intergovernmental panels को भी जो है वो facilitate किया है. इसमें पाकिस्तान, बांग्लादेश, मलेशिया, इंडिया और यूनाइटेड नेशंस का जो इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल कमीशन है फॉर एशिया एंड पैसिफिक, ये शामिल थे कि जी हम पाकिस्तान में 2022 में फ्लड आया था तो उसके कॉन्सिक्वेंस में एक स्टडी आगे हम आपको दिखाएंगे. रीजनल जो है ये एक रीजनल स्टडी थी, इसके एडिटिंग रोल में हम लोग थे, जिसमें वी वर एबल टू कंट्रीब्यूट के लिए सस्टेनेबिलिटी और क्लाइमेट जस्टिस के हिसाब से क्या चीजें हैं जो कि पाकिस्तान रिक्वायर करता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंटरनेशनल सपोर्ट एंड सो ऑन. तो मेरे ख्याल से बहुत सारे इदारे जो है वो इसमें कंट्रीब्यूट कर सकते हैं. दीज आर सम ऑफ द अदर स्टडीज दैट वी बीन डूइंग एज पार्ट ऑफ आवर वर्क on sustainability. चलिएगा. अच्छा, अभी हमारी सिचुएशन ये है कि जी 620 इदारों का एक नेटवर्क है 37 मुल्कों से, जिसका जो एडवोकेसी ग्रुप है उसको हम लीड करते हैं. हम ग्लोबल जो मेजर ग्रुप्स हैं, अदर स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं, उसका की हिस्सा है. ग्लोबल कोalition फॉर एजुकेशन का भी हिस्सा है. इसी तरह वी हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू द वर्ल्ड सोशल फोरम एंड ग्लोबल पीपल्स असेंबली एज द लीड डिस्कशंस. जो ऑफिस ऑफ द हाई कमिश्नर ऑन ह्यूमन राइट्स है यूनाइटेड नेशंस का और सेक्रेटरी जनरल का जो इंडिपेंडेंट अकाउंटेबिलिटी पैनल है, वी आर आल्सो देयर इन टर्म्स ऑफ ट्राइंग टू एको जो हमारे मुल्क से जो है वो कंसर्न्स हैं in terms of international multilateral level पे क्या decisions होने चाहिए so on so forth. इसी तरह हम स्पेशल rapporteurs जो होते हैं यूएन के, उनको भी कंट्रीब्यूट करते रहते हैं. अपने मुल्क में भी प्लानिंग कमीशन की जो रिपोर्ट्स होती हैं टू द हाई लेवल पॉलिटिकल फोरम, 2 दफा हम उसमें we have contributed. अब मैं very quickly because वक्त जा रहा है so I will try to wind it up कि जी देखें हमारा ये जो डेवलपमेंट का मामला है ये बहुत पुराना है. इसमें जैसे मैंने कहा दुनिया बड़ी इवन दुनिया नहीं है और ऐसा भी नहीं है कि हम ऐसे ही हुए थे पैदा या इसी तरह की डायकोटमी रहनी थी जो आज आपको नजर आ रही है. इट इज पार्ट ऑफ सेवरल पॉलिसीज जो अनफॉर्चुनेटली हैव नॉट बीन, थोड़ा सा पीछे रहिएगा, नॉट बीन सो फेयर. तो ब्रैटन कमीशन 87 में 1987 में उन्होंने कहा था कि एनवायरमेंटल प्रोटेक्शन हो, सोशल डेवलपमेंट हो, इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ हो, इसका कोई एक ही मॉडल बनाए. लेकिन अनफॉर्चुनेटली व्हाट वी गॉट इन 1999 वाज द एमडीजीज व्हिच वाज अ फ्लॉड मॉडल. अब मैं उसकी तफसील में नहीं जाऊंगा, उसके अंदर बहुत सारे इश्यूज थे. जिसके बाद अब आपका आया एसडीजीज. अब एसडीजीज की जो अभी की सिचुएशन है वो अगली स्लाइड पे मैं आपको दिखाता हूं. तो जो 2030 के बाद का फ्रेमवर्क है उसकी डिस्कशन ऑलरेडी शुरू हो चुकी है, which is where you and me can actually try to contribute. आगे चलें. अच्छा, ये अगेन वही मैं सिर्फ आपसे तज़किरा करना चाह रहा था कि देखें हमारा जो अभी डेवलपमेंट मॉडल है ग्लोबली, उसके अंदर यही हो जाता है कि आपकी वॉर जो है वो ज्यादा वैल्यूएबल हो जाती है पीस से, इलनेस जो है वो हेल्थ से, कंजम्पशन जो है वो केयर से एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ, बिकॉज़ ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट वी ऑपरेट इन अ न्यूलिबरल मॉडल. राइट, आगे चलें. तो उस सारे कॉन्शियसनेस के तहत हमारे पास ये सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स आए. आगे चलेंगे. अच्छा, अब इसमें इश्यूज क्या है भाई? इसमें इशू ये है कि ऑफिशियल डेवलपमेंट असिस्टेंस वो पैसा है जो पूरी दुनिया के अमीर मुल्क गरीब मुल्कों को देते हैं. We get maximum that we have gotten is $200 billion a year for developing countries. लेकिन we have lost over $2 trillion
to the multinational corporations of those rich countries who take money from our developing countries in terms of tax evasions, asset stealth, profit shifting, and so on and so forth. राइट तो ये अब सवाल अब उठ रहे हैं, हम उठा रहे हैं ग्लोबली कि भाई हु इज डेवलपिंग हु, राइट। तो अगर आपके ये मल्टीनेशनल्स हमारे यहाँ टैक्सेस सही दें और हमारे वीक लीगल और स्ट्रक्चर्स को अब्यूज ना करें तो हमें शायद आपकी डेवलपमेंट एड की जरूरत ना रहे, राइट। इसी तरह ग्लोबल मिलिट्री एक्सपेंडिचर जो सिर्फ 15-20 ममालिक का नेक्सस है वो 2 ट्रिलियन से ज्यादा एक्सीड कर जाता है, जबकि पूरी दुनिया की डेवलपमेंट के लिए सिर्फ आपके पास जो है वो 200 बिलियन बनते हैं। इसी तरह हम जितना पैसा ये 200 बिलियन डॉलर्स हम लेते हैं ऑफिशियल डेवलपमेंट असिस्टेंस में अमीर मुल्कों से, उससे 50 बिलियन ज्यादा जो है वो हम सिर्फ डेट सर्विसिंग में पे कर रहे हैं। ये जो आईएमएफ की सारी सिचुएशन हम लोग और आप लोग इन रियलिटीज फेस करते हैं, ठीक। तो ये जो पोस्ट सेकंड वर्ल्ड वॉर ऑर्डर है इसको क्वेश्चन किया जा रहा है। 40 डेलीगेशंस ने बैठ के जो नॉर्थ के ही थे आईएमएफ और वर्ल्ड बैंक को बनाया था, तो ये कैसे रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हो सकते हैं 183 ममालिक के जो इनके आज मेंबर्स हैं, राइट। तो अब इनके अंदर रिफॉर्म की जो डिस्कशन है वो उस चीज में आ रही है जिसको मैं कह रहा हूँ फ्रेमवर्क ऑफ द फ्यूचर। तो ये उसकी नेगोशिएशंस अभी चल रही हैं, आई एम आल्सो पार्ट ऑफ दैट। तो उसमें वर्ल्ड बैंक और आईएमएफ के बोर्ड्स को कहा गया है कि जी दे नीड टू फिक्स द metrics and try to make it more representative. इसी तरह आपके इश्यूज है इन्वेस्टर स्टेट डिस्प्यूट सेटलमेंट में $5 बिलियन का फाइन लगा था पाकिस्तान को लिक्विडेट के केस में, आपको पता होगा। ट्रेड रिलेटेड इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी स्पेकुलेशंस के इश्यूज हैं, जो ये सारा कहानी आती है। जो तीसरा है ट्रीटी ट्रियो का तीसरा हिस्सा है वर्ल्ड ट्रेड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, जिसके हेजेमोनिक जो ट्रेड रेजिम्स और रूल्स हैं वो डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज को बड़े बुरे अंदाज में जो है वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं उनकी एबिलिटी को टू अचीव सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट। लेकिन आगे चलिएगा, लेकिन अब मामला ये है कि ये सारा कुछ तब होगा जब यूनिवर्सिटी के लेवल पे इस तरह की ना सिर्फ डिस्कशन हो बल्कि असल में ये सारा डेटा आएगा आपके पास रिसर्च से। अब ये जो सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल्स का मामला है ना जी, ये हमें सिर्फ ये नहीं दिखाना है इम्पैक्ट रैंकिंग में कि कौन से टारगेट पे हम रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, वी हैव टू गो टू द कौन से गोल पे हम रिपोर्ट कर रहे हैं, वी आल्सो हैव टू गो टू द टारगेट लेवल इंटीग्रेशन। अब हमें करिकुला के अंदर सिर्फ इसको इंटीग्रेट करके बैठ नहीं जाना, वी हैव टू इंश्योर कि वी हैव रिसर्च ओवर दिस, वी हैव कंसल्टेशन सेमिनार्स वर्कशॉप्स फिल्म्स कैंपेन्स एडवोकेसी एंड एक्चुअल कंट्रीब्यूशन टू द एक्चुअल प्रोसेस, राइट। प्लानिंग कमीशन जो रिपोर्ट करता है, रीजनल जो एशिया पैसिफिक का फोरम होता है सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट का, या ग्लोबली जो होता है, वी नीड टू एक्चुअली रेज आवर बार इन टर्म्स ऑफ आवर गेम। अभी हम पिछले साल की मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ जी, 2023 की जो अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा की रिपोर्ट है उसमें सिर्फ 17% हमारी प्रोग्रेस है अभी। और जो हम जिस खिते में हम हैं एशिया पैसिफिक में, ये 2062 से पहले एसडीजीज को अचीव नहीं कर सकेगा। ये एक्नॉलेज किया है यूनाइटेड नेशंस इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल कमीशन फॉर एशिया एंड पैसिफिक। लेकिन जो हमने उनको चैलेंज किया, जो स्टैटिस्टिकल डिवीजन का हेड है वहां अरमान बेदाब, इज अ गुड फ्रेंड, तो हमने उनसे यही सवाल किया था कि भाई ये प्रोजेक्शन आपकी कितने परसेंट ऑफ द डेटा पे बेस करती है, तो ही स्माइल्ड एंड रिस्पोंडेड के जस्ट 53%। ठीक, तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि 40% ऑफ द डेटा इज नॉट अवेलेबल। So we don't even understand sustainable development जो मैं कह रहा हूँ कि काफी नहीं है as a global social contract, उसका भी 47% of that does not have the statistical capacity at the National Bureau of Statistics जैसे हमारे यहाँ है कि जी उसमें हम 47% को तो समझते ही नहीं है, हमें पता ही नहीं है। उसके अलावा जो इमर्जेंट क्राइसिस आ रहे हैं और इश्यूज आ रहे हैं उनकी बात अलग है। तो ये ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि ये जो 2030 में हमने अचीव करना था ये 22वीं सदी की कहानी ना बन जाए, which is why सबसे अहम अगर कोई रोल एज सोशल इंस्टीट्यूशंस प्ले कर सकता है पैरेलल विद द गवर्नमेंट, वो है आपकी यूनिवर्सिटीज। बिकॉज आपके पास है वो स्टैटिस्टिकल सोफिस्टिकेशन जो कि इस तरह के कॉम्पोजिट इंडिकेटर्स के ऊपर जो है वो डेटा प्रोड्यूस कर सके, जो कॉम्प्लीमेंट करें आपकी नेशनल स्टैटिस्टिकल कैपेसिटी को, ब्यूरो ऑफ स्टैटिस्टिक्स को एंड अदर्स को, इवन थ्रू इंडिकेटिव डेटा। तो वहां पे ये बड़ा जरूरी है। ये अब खाली कहानी नहीं रह गई कि यार हमने इम्पैक्ट रैंकिंग में लिस्ट होना है और इसमें होना है उसमें होना है। इट इज द वेरी क्वेश्चन ऑफ आवर स्ट्रेटेजिक सर्वाइवल नाउ। आगे चलिए। अब देखें क्विकली, ये दो स्लाइड्स हैं आखिरी के। हम लोगों का बड़ा जो क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस के नेक्सस पे अगर मैं बात करूं, हमारा बड़ा फोकस जो है वो इस चीज पे रहा है कि जी हम जो इंटरसेक्शनल टाइज देखते हैं क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस के तनाजुर में, वो हम इन प्रोसेसेस में देखते हैं कि जी एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव प्रैक्टिसेस क्या है, हमारी एकेडमिक प्रोसेसेस क्या है, रिसर्च को हमने देख लिया, अलमनाई को हम देख रहे होते हैं, सीएसआर ऑपरेशंस एंड सो ऑन सो फोर्थ। लेकिन मैं थोड़ी सी बस ये गुजारिश आपके सामने रखना चाह रहा हूँ कि देखें, ये सारी जो हमने इंटरसेक्शनल इंटीग्रेशन की है, क्वालिटी एश्योरेंस कंसिडरेशंस की अक्रॉस आवर स्ट्रक्चर्स, वो पहले दो स्ट्रक्चर्स के ऊपर अभी तक फिक्सेटेड है, व्हिच इज द ऑपरेशनल स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड देन द एकेडमिक स्ट्रक्चर्स। जो थॉट स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं in terms of what exactly is our contribution in terms of knowledge production, in terms of innovations, and I'm not just talking about innovations across the natural sciences and so on, social sciences के हवाले से क्या contribution है, social policy के अंदर क्या contribution है, हमारा रियल टाइम वो इम्पैक्ट फैक्टर वाला इम्पैक्ट नहीं, रियल टाइम इम्पैक्ट विद इन सोसाइटीज जो है वो क्या है, where do we complement each other in terms of trying to come together for collective reflection and collaborative action for that matter. So that is where I feel QEC has to raise the bar and the standard कि जी एकेडमिक इदारा अपने कन्वेंशनल प्रोड्यूस से बाहर जाके what can be achieved, right, as brains of the society in terms of shaping our and forging our future direction for that matter. तो ये बुनियादी consideration है that we need to adopt in terms of having a nexus or intersectional approach to sustainability, internationalization, and then quality assurance within the same framework. तो इसमें फिर ये होगा कि जी आप जो ये कहते हैं की फैंसी टर्मिनोलॉजी में होल ऑफ सोसाइटी अप्रोच, वो यही है कि जी आप गवर्नमेंट हो गया, सिविल सोसाइटी हो गया, आपका प्राइवेट सेक्टर है, और बुनियादी तौर पे आपकी कम्युनिटी दैट, सो दैट्स pretty much it in terms of what I wanted to talk to you. बस गुजारिश इतनी सी है कि जी I feel there is a dire need for the higher education institutions in this country to actually try to move beyond our conventional operations as we see ourselves trying to contribute to not just discursive patterns within the country, but also at the regional and global discursive patterns as well. I thank you very much, and I thank you for your patience for staying longer than scheduled as well. If you have any questions, I hope मेरी बात आपको ज़्यादा समझ आ गई है. There are no questions. Borrowing it from Usmani Saab's one. So I think I will head back to the moderator.
Thank you so much, Sir Aditulani. It's our privilege to have you on board, and your presentation and discussions have always been so much full of knowledge that comes with satire, humor, and facts. So thank you so much, everyone, for being our consistent listeners. And thank you so much for our distinguished speakers who enlighten us with the facts. And we are grateful for all our speakers and participants for making this symposium a success. Thank you for your attention and participation. Have a wonderful day. This is your host signing off, Lara Nasser. Until next time. Allah Hafiz, take care.